COVID. We're dealing with something that we don't know. And our trains were packed to capacity and all of that. When we stopped the trains, we then did not protect the infrastructure. Now, trains must be protected by the people. I like umama ebetete train in Namhlanje and then talked about the protection. That is the response you get. It's a contract we've got with the commuters, with our people. It's a social contract, meaning people are owning up. We do our part also by intensifying the security network on the corridor, day and night. And I've been briefed, they are armed guards, shoot to kill. If somebody cuts, shoot to kill. That's what you do. And if necessary, afterwards, if they survive, they must be arrested. That's what we do. We've got armed guards and we've got unarmed guards in the network as we open them. I'm very impressed by that because the security is very important in terms of protection of our rail network in the Republic. In May 2022, PRASA rolled out the rebuilding program in 3 of the earmarked priority corridors in Gauteng, which were closed to enable speedy rehabilitation. These are Pienaarspruit to Pretoria. You saw when we opened that line in Pretoria. Naledi to Johannesburg today and Lerala in Elandsfontein. The line closures were essential to allow for major reconstruction. I told you that we're going to close this line. And I said to the board and the management, close this and open. Now, when we open of commuter rail in bridging the gap, Naledi line should have long been recovered. We don't have people who have built shacks over the tracks here in Soweto. Like we have that problem in Soweto. Here in Soweto, we have vandalism, people who are vandalizing this rail network day and night, no security. Wake waibona into yokuthi umuntu ehamba ilanga libalele, and then there will be no response. Lack of management capacity. That shows you that this place was a broken place which we were rebuilding. Because that should not happen. Because our people do guard these trains. But Abatoti who are doing these things, who are sent, some of them are well armed. And they are terrorizing. You have seen those ones without teeth there in Cape Town, who were shooting on air and swearing at everybody with AK-47. And I told them that they were going to bring soldiers there in Cape Town to protect the rail network. Because we can't be terrorized by people shooting on air, gun-toting, and stopping the work that has to be done there. We can't allow that. That is lawlessness. The authority of the state at that moment, you must understand, is being challenged, and we must respond accordingly. So, the Naledi to Johannesburg corridor covers a distance of 70 kilometers with 15 stations. We are pleased that the work of recovering overhead electrical wires stands at 95%. Completion rate at a cost of 152,398 rand, 591 rand. Substations are at 60%. Completion at a cost of 181,976,138 rand. No, I'm being tested here. You know, you just put this number like that. Nitibene no prika profa. I've got the numbers. A total of 354 local laborers were also employed in 2022. Since 2019, the Western Cape Central Line has not been functioning due to extensive vandalism and the illegal occupation on the railway line and rail service. Efforts to rehabilitate and recover the central line got underway in 2021. with the first two phases having been recovered as planned. The following corridors have since been recovered in the Western Cape. Cape Town to Simonstown resumed services in March 2022. Cape Town to Retreat via Athlone resumed services in March 2022. On the Central Line, we recovered Cape Town to Langa via Pinelands and Langa to Belleville via Sarepta, with service resumption in July 2022. Cape Town to Belleville via Goodwood. In KwaZulu-Natal, Metrorail was running diesel services before the floods in April caused further devastation. To date, the following corridors have since been recovered. Durban to Tongat resumed services in November 2022. Durban to Umbongo Ntwini resumed services in August 2022. Reunion to Kwamnyandu Umlazi corridor resumed services in October 2022. Durban to Cato Ridge resumed services in November 2022. To date, PRASA has completed 13 corridors in this financial year. This milestone is an important and positive step towards our commitment to rebuild the rail infrastructure and restore passenger rail as the backbone of public transport. Our focus now shifts towards the rehabilitation of the remaining corridors this financial year. This includes Leralla to Johannesburg and Pretoria to Kalfontein in Gauteng, and Phase 1C of the Central Line, which extends from Langa to Nyanga in Cape Town, and the electrical infrastructure between Durban to Umlazi and KwaMashu to Durban. In preparation for the rollout of the new trains, major work is underway to enhance security at the depots where the trains will be kept. The fencing of 6 depots, Braamfontein, where we are, Salt River, Pardon Island, Durban, Springfield, and East London with high-tech walling is well in progress to ensure the safety and protection of the new trains. Now, I want to underline this by saying that, Malefad, you've got big infrastructure projects at PRASA, and the board is failing you, and you are failing the board. And both you and the board, you are failing the minister. You are failing the government of the Republic. You are basically organizing a coup d'etat against this government. And if you are doing that, I've got to do something about you. I know some of you, you think that MBALULA might be elected Secretary General, which it will happen. But I will be in charge still, because the ANC, if that happens, will put Kidiboni and will put Sikhamedzi to lead this work. We are not just going to bring a person here or Lele on 70. We'll bring a person or perfume line or Sebenzai. But besides that, you guys are not moving on the infrastructure issues, projects, spending at PRASA, which has been the issue, DG, which has been raised by Treasury with me. I've been with PRASA to National Treasury, and National Treasury said, DG, to me, we are taking this money to somewhere to service their debt, because we know these people will not spend this money come end of this year. And that was said to me in January by Enoch Kotongwana, the Minister of Finance. And indeed, we are finishing the year. Major infrastructure projects are still suffering. I said to them, go and source capacity. You know, at Sandra, they stopped projects, there's 17 billion rand infrastructure projects. And then they were able to recover those projects within 2 months. And they are back on track, tenders rendered and all of that. I was in Mtentu, a project that was not moving. And then it is resolved, it is moving. We are spending money there. Billions of rand, we are spending 4 billion. And then the biggest tower-to-tower bridge in the African continent in Sikaba, will be completed in 2024. Something never been seen before in the N2 Wild Coast Road. PRASA is still on holiday. These people, there is no consciousness. And then they have been accused by Amapungani that they gave contracts of 7.5 billion to people who don't have capacity to run general overhaul contracts. On general overhaul contracts, we're supposed to spend 10 billion rand. And when I arrived here as minister, there are two things that I did. There was a law here, I don't know who brought it here, that before the board passed 1 billion contract, they must seek permission from the minister. I made it easy for them. I stopped that nonsense. I said, Minister, tender. Nina, you must just report to me that this tender is done. That's all what I want. You can't, an entity like this, subject it to one man. Then you are making me corrupt in this. And all of that. You give that to a politician. You must know. You are tempting me, I stopped that nonsense. Ask Ramatagan. I wrote DG. I said, they brought one Volmaten. When it arrived on my desk, issues of property, corruption, I sent it back to them, Volmaten. I was supposed to approve it. Right there and there, I stopped that nonsense. I said, you must do your job, fiduciary duty. Look at these tenders, put the checks and balances in place. That's your job. Why will you appoint a board? I understand because of the corruption that was here and major contracts here. Then you had to put those checks and balances. I said the only thing I want is the account that this has been done, but I can't be part of the approval of that. So 7.5 billion was passed. I was very happy because in terms of the report, all the eligible contractors were our. There's no way you can give general overhaul to a company that does not have capacity. It's a lie. Now, people who have lost tenders at PRASA, they are running to Amapungani and then giving reports and all of that. Now I know Amapungani to be independent because they assisted us to unravel state capture. Now they are listening to stories here at PRASA of people who have got interest, who some of them took PRASA to court on major contracts. They did not get this general overhaul. One of the things I stopped here, I was told when I arrived, there is 10 billion rand. These are closing down who have specialties on general overhaul because PRASA is not giving them work. Because they've got challenges in terms of supply chain, modernization program, signaling, everything else is not been awarded. Izinto zimile nci abahlekazi aba basmile nemali and all of that, they are not spending it. Ino Kotongwana told me they don't have the capacity to spend it. Chola, I'm telling you now. He told me that treasury, I was with Makaipe, I was acting. If I'm lying, makakuxelela lapho uyaxoka ngoku minister. Bendihamba naye efaka ibruku ezincinci pha. Ndihamba abilities based on your system. Sineshwifa la siyangena. We opposed and we succeeded on those contracts. You source expertise. Property, you look at things, and independent people who look at major contracts and say, Leona, it was fair and square, properly awarded. And then quick and fast. And then we spend, then the trains will run, there will be general overhaul, not overall, overhaul, and then you'll spend money, people will be employed, and that is it. PRASA is a capital intensive company, meaning you are working with money. You can't shy away from that. You are working with money, and if your procurement is not up to scratch, you are going to delay our progress here. 5 months, you're going to finish it in 10 weeks. Because your procurement is not up to scratch, your project management office is not up to scratch. You have cost overruns that delay the project from time to time. And then your management is not hands-on in terms of overseeing these projects. And I said to PRASA, when we're recovering the corridors, assign per corridor a team, and then assign them, and then you recover them. A team led by a manager. Here is the corridor, you assign a team. All our trains are going to come back. If the trains are running, people are paying on the trains, then your OPEX is relieved. Operational expenditure is relieved. Now what you are doing, you are subsidizing your operational expense with capital expenditure, because you money from here to service this side. That is the problem that you have. Look at the response we've got. Malifani gave us good statistics this morning. Just in a short space of time, we can account for 10,000 people who are committing on the Naledi corridor. And the highest at the present moment is Sport, with about 15,000. The appetite is there. And then you recover all the corridors who are back on track. So the people of Soweto don't know this secret. PRASA, they came to brief me about Naledi. They said they are going to bring yellow trains in Soweto. I said the Soweto people are going to bend them down. They said, why? I said, but Soweto about ufiti wa dintotzen tledikala go Soweto. Le atsama lo kenya di blue train ko Pitori li tla Soweto li tlisa di train tse yellow ba lo di chase. Bore no re tlwaelwa hampe mo. Batho ba banana rona re tswa maplasing. I know Soweto people. Ai ka bona ba di lokisitse ba tlisa di blue train so re mjojo. Ki 50-50 di a tshwana. And when I went to Mabopane with the president, we had a breakdown. The Mabopane people were also complaining, or why these Mamelodi people are using blue trains and we are still on yellow trains. And they regard themselves as the clever, young. So we put blue trains for them, and they are still running there. And they are very happy. But these blue trains, we're supposed to, by now, we're supposed to produce 600 of them. We have increased the number of production in Niger. We are producing these trains here in South Africa. When I'm talking to you now, we've got South Africans who are employed in Niger, in Ekurhuleni, by this project called Gibela that produces these trains. These trains are not from China. This is Kandala, South Africa. Sevenza nama French. Yeah, to produce these trains here in South Africa. Young people, engineers are employed there. That is our project, yeah. So we're not doing it out of the country. We're doing it here in South Africa. So I want to congratulate and conclude involved in this recovery. There were no good people on the ground. It's because there are people who have decided we're going to work. People who are traumatized here. They didn't want to touch anything. The company was down to ashes. Now, Ndadera Matlakane, I've said to you, employ people in vacant positions. And then you said to me before end of the year. Now the year is ending. I see people are still acting like it's Hollywood. I don't want that. When you put people in acting, it's because you don't want decision makers. You want a person who's in a job forever threatened. And then doing, those acting people are the ones who are doing wrong things because they are not confident. When you call him do this, he doesn't even ask you anything. Yes, it will be done. We are yes. But the guy who's confirmed on the job is able to stand his ground. And that's what we need. But you can imagine, we achieved everything of what we achieved with acting people. And then we had to do away with the CEO. We've got another one who's acting now, from another one who was acting. So I said to the board, sort this thing out. Even Parliament said that. So we need to sort those things out. And I promised South Africa that before end of the year, a new CEO will be appointed. So I'm still waiting for the submission from the board on the recommendation of the new CEO who would have been interviewed by the board. Kisa you can look me, you can cheba unchebela mahal. I'm still waiting. And the CEO is not forthcoming. Now, I need that to come forward so that ki signele, ki tikinele. Unogada umange donki pili, a deploy ile ipaliwe,